God is moving. It's Young People Nation.
Welcome to Young People Nation. Listen to us weekly as we commit to bring transparency, healing, and truth to the everyday situations in life that might bring you down. Join us for your weekly dose of inspiration. Thank you for listening to Young People Nation. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And now, here's your host, Eugene and Donna Perry.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth. Giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project. Lead them back to the cross.
Welcome back, and welcome back to Young People Nation. And thank you so much for listening, subscribing, sharing, talking to the community about this podcast. My husband was sharing with me the other day. He was sharing the podcast with someone, and they said, yeah, I heard of that. So we appreciate each and every sponsor, every person that has supported this podcast, our recorders, our marketing representative, the music, the whole community. A huge thank you from my husband and myself for what you have done to help this movement move even forward and national, as we've been told. But we thank you, and we say thank you so much. Now, again, we're back with session 4 with Mr. Jonathan Barnes. And yes, this young man, we're going to talk about some of his music, one of his songs. He is a storyteller through his music. He is a protector. He's an encourager. He is a revolutionary at heart. He is a person that he studies. So please don't come to him. I'm telling you, don't come to him if you haven't read, okay, and study, because it's not going to be good because this young man does his homework.
Yes, he's a contender, not a pretender. He's a contender.
Yes. And he, mostly what I love about him is that he is a young man of God. He fears God. And he wants to bring brightness to the entire community, adults, young adults, youth. So we are honored to have this gift amongst us. Thank you for coming back, Mr. Barnes.
Yes, ma'am. My pleasure.
Yes, so we've been dealing with the mental health journey of him since age 3. And parents, just understand that mental health can and depression can start at age 3. This young man has shared in session 1 the bullying and some other things that came up against his journey in life, that he was dealing with mental health trauma at that time. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so in session 4, we're going to talk about the 20-year-old Jonathan Barnes, who was diagnosed with PTSD.
Yes, ma'am.
PTSD. This young man hasn't been in the military. However, he has had post-traumatic stress disease.
Yes, ma'am. Disorder.
Disorder. Thank you. So the diagnosis and the build-up, Jonathan. Talk about that, and what would you share with your age group concerning this?
When it comes down to the diagnosis of post-traumatic stress disorder and the buildup that it's coming from, you can have traumas come from all sorts of angles of life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have traumas I still deal with where I was wrongfully accused, and was forced to say that I did something wrong. I was accused of stealing a ring in 4th grade, and I was held in a room in a corner for hours amongst hours, being told that if I didn't say I stole this ring, I was going to go to jail.
Wow.
Literally. And me, as a little kid, scared, I ended up saying, okay, I stole it after whichever amount of hours. And then I go home and I face trouble for that, you know, because I said I did something that I really didn't do. You know, so from that on up to homicides of lost ones, not just lost of loved ones, you know, like gruesome deaths and things like that I've had to witness as well. So with that, you have to, all I could say to those within my age group, remain encouraged. You know, remain encouraged, man. Like, remain uplifted. Know that tomorrow can always offer better. Even the day. Don't allow a bad moment within the day to define your day. You didn't have a bad day because you fell down the steps. That was just a bad moment within your day. Now let's try to look for and look forward to the better that the day has to offer.
Yes.
That's all I can really say. And to be mindful of the fact that just like you're going through these battles, the next man might be going through these battles as well, or the next young lady. Be there for each other. Don't tear each other down. And as we say nowadays, don't crash out. Don't fall astray, and do something that is detrimental to your livelihood or your freedom. It's not worth it, and know that you're loved. You're loved. I love y'all,
Okay.
Yes, indeed.
And you're loved.
Yes, ma'am.
Amen.
Yes. Don't crash out. I've never heard of that term. Talk a little bit about that.
Yes, ma'am. Crash out is a term that's come about within these past few years, couple years, I'd say. And oftentimes people glorify crashing out. People will say, oh, man, I'm about to crash out. And what they're saying is like, oh, I'm about to go slide on the other side and go do some harm. About to go send somebody up, kill somebody, whatever it might be.
Okay, got you.
And that's crashing out, though. It's like we need to stop glorifying the thought of crashing out, especially behind nonsense, behind things that we either can't change or things that have nothing to do with us, things that are not detrimental to our lives. If this person has not taken your life, taken a life from you, don't take a life at all. But just don't crash out about a female, about a girl, or don't crash out for the young ladies. Don't crash out about a no good young boy. Because if the young boy really did value your heart and value whichever relationship you all had, he wouldn't have went to another female or did whatever he did to hurt your heart and make you want to go fight this girl and crash out. Definitely.
Wow.
Fully weaponized.
Come on.
Definitely.
So you talked about one of your songs called The Heart. What did those lyrics mean when you wrote them?
Those lyrics was a story of crashing out.
Okay.
All honesty. Those lyrics were about how this heart was within a shell. This heart was isolated because he didn't have anyone to confide in. And this heart was going through this backstabbing and craziness. A lot of stuff the heart was going through that ended up making the heart say, I have to adjust. I have to adapt to my environment. And one of the lines that it said is, it was moments like that that turned that heart to a shark. It went from the heart being this loving, caring person to being out on the prowl, looking for a victim or whatever it might be. It changed that heart. So the heart, my song, The Heart, is about me and is about the trials that have probably led me to fall astray or crash in life. That's all it's about. Yes, ma'am.
But you got someone threw you a vest, threw you something to help. Well, you had that experience with the sister.
Right, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, throw you a life vest. Okay. Okay. Now, also, and thank you because you have been so transparent through our conversations. And that's one thing my husband and I recognize, that young people need transparency.
Right.
We have to create, parents, you have to create, or community, you have to create a platform or atmosphere for this young person to say, this is what's really going on in me. That's important.
I just want to say a lot of people can't bring you in the light to identify with the crashing out part is it's built up trauma that you never dealt with, and your mind becomes clouded to the reality of where you at, and the only thing that's left is that moment in time where that trauma breaks through again, and what happened, it isn't even existing, but that trauma you never dealt with is coming into actuality. You feel the hurt, you feel the pain for that moment, and in this moment, you make irrational decisions.
And to your point, like how Jonathan has shared the constant life traumas, the death of loved ones. You saw a loved one get brutally killed, bullying and other traumas. Where are you now in your process of all this?
Still in the healing process, I'd say, or the acceptance process, especially when it comes down to, some of the other things I've witnessed. I've already gained an understanding.
Okay.
Now it's just putting your pride to the side, or separating your emotions from the event, and accepting it for what it is. You need to be able to accept where your loved ones probably went wrong, or your friend probably went wrong in this situation. Not saying you forget them, but allow that to play a role in your judgment making on how you'll move forward, just as well as you allow whoever it is that did the wrong and taking them in whichever manner to play a role in your judgment making. It's easy to say, you killed my loved one, you stood over my loved one, so now I'm about to come. But if you was placed in that pair of shoes, what would have been your resolution? If you would have had a better resolution, cool enough. Try to use that better resolution even right now.
Yes.
And if you wouldn't have had a better resolution, then that means you could understand the decision they made.
Yes.
In some amount, you're able to understand the decision they made. So show some grace.
I love it. And with your PTSD, that's like my husband and I have been on a journey as well in understanding triggers. How important is it for the people around you? Well, first of all, for you to understand your triggers and then communicate to your community your triggers.
Vitally important, because with the battle of PTSD, which, like I said, it comes from all angles.
Yes.
That someone can be suffering this, but some angles are more detrimental or violent than others.
Okay.
So it can cause you to develop a side of yourself that fits that trauma, And if you don't identify these triggers and share with your loved ones, those close to you, anyone who has dealings with you, what those triggers are, then it could potentially become detrimental to them. Sadly, just to go off for a second, I have a friend who, did something crazy to his mother and his sister, and nobody understood, especially within his household, how deep that trauma went and is, and the things he has been through. And it costed lives.
Jesus.
It costed lives, and it costed him his freedom. So just like on a job application, they'll ask if you have any mental disorders or any health disorders, things such as PTSD and things like that.
Yes.
They ask that on job applications.
Yes, they do.
And that's because they need to have knowledge on which things can trigger a reaction of you, and just have knowledge on the fact that you are changed. Your chemical balance is slightly different from the average person who has never had to witness something of the sort or try to patch up wounds, So with that part being said, that's the vital importance of being able to identify your trigger so you can let this person know this makes me feel this way, and it's best to not make me feel this way.
Yes. And it's also important for you to remove yourself from a place where you know you're going to be triggered. Yes.
You easily triggered.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. I
Stay
had
out
to
the
learn
way.
that with my husband's process of being in wars.
Mm-hmm.
There are certain things that I could have done prior to him in that process of wars, but I can't do that. Those are triggers. And so we have to be sensitive to that.
Exactly.
Wow. And so God, therapy, meds, and pride. We talked about that. Break that down from your experience.
God, first of all, has been the major confidant, the major piece to the puzzle when it comes down to my experience and my journey of battling, post-traumatic stress disorder and fighting the moments that I'm triggered. For example, when you think about how you have godly things, ungodly things, sometimes when triggered, I have been on the verge of doing or have actually said some ungodly things, to people who love me and I love them, but because I need help, all honesty, because I need help or needed more help than I might need now at those points, I didn't think about what you're saying and who you're saying it to or what you're doing and how it's going to affect your life, how it could affect your life. Just because you done picked up a piece of candy as you walking out the store one time and didn't get caught doesn't mean they ain't gonna catch you next week if you try to do it.
Right.
So don't get so comfortable with your way of handling things. Some people might feel there's a problem going on, and once you see you can do one thing and that problem poofs, like literally you don't got to deal with that problem no more, it makes you feel this sense of power. It makes you feel this sense of now I got it handled, but it's planting a seed of bad fruit, that will grow up, and its offspring will continue to grow up after that seed done died off. Why? Because there's multiple tests we're going to have to face. So this seed was planted because you failed the test initially and chose to handle the problem this way. There's going to be another test to come around, and if you fail it again, guess what? It's more burdens and more luggage for you to carry. A lot of us ain't strong enough to carry that luggage.
Yes.
Especially without God.
Yes.
And that's why I say God is the number one piece, because he will give you that peace that surpasses all understanding. Like I said, I've gained an understanding on a lot of those traumas and situations. Now I need to accept, and move forward, figure out how I'm going to move forward. In reference to therapy, as I let you all know, I have not been in any therapy yet.
But you will. You will.
What's the name of them? Official certified licensed therapy sessions. But I definitely have had the privilege to sit with two of the greatest God-sent therapists, Mother Perry and Father Perry, and talk and dialogue on a lot of things that have troubled me. For medicine is all within your mind, honestly, if I got to be honest. The medication that I have taken was not highly beneficial at all.
Okay.
The medication that I felt was beneficial in some instances did not benefit me, because it depends on how you're going to allow this medication to where you're going to allow this medication to place itself within your life.
Yes.
Are you going to allow this medication to place itself before school for you? Are you going to allow this medication to place itself before sports for you?
Yes.
Are you going to allow it to place it before a job, before your family, before God. You know, there's one man in my life who used to tell me, think about the cigarettes and be like, okay, if you got to smoke a cigarette to alleviate whatever stress or whatever feeling you feeling, you're saying that cigarette is stronger than God.
Yeah.
You know? And I've noticed that whatever forms of medication I've used, it's definitely depleted, you know, and the amount that I feel I need, the dosages have definitely been lowered since I've chose to give a lot of my problems to God.
Yes.
And just be forgiving. Open up your heart. Leave your hearts open for forgiveness.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
don't have it so forward shut, you know. We go through that fire, but if we make it through, we coming out as gold.
Yes.
You feel me? And that's all it is. Like I said, it's a test. Test, tried, and true.
Yes.
You know, so leave your heart open. Don't keep it forward shut. And trust in the Lord, you know, over the medicine.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
And for pride, I'd say keep your pride to the side, definitely. Because pride has caused a lot of people to go into places they can't come out of. Pride has caused a lot of people to fail tests. Pride has a lot of people behind bars, probably doing life stints or doing a lot of time they don't want to do. While you doing time, your family doing time. That's how my father had to tell me.
Right.
While you doing time, they doing time with you. You know, because they missing
Yes.
you. They hurting you.
Yes.
You know, they hurting that you're gone.
Yes.
So that's one piece. But then on top of that, if you allow that pride to send you to a casket, man, you don't know what blessings, what purposes that were truly destined for your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we move pride out the way, we can get to the greater good, the greater blessing that's in store for us instead of focusing on whatever might be out of place in our minds in the moment. You know, everything is a trial and test of your faith that's designed for your life. Honestly, if you're going through it, 9 times out of 10, you were meant to, and it's going to morph you into something better for the future. But you have to be willing to stick it out, persevere, and make it to see, wow, what is my finished product going to look like? Like I said, I'm a work in progress.
Yes.
But I can't wait to see the finished Jonathan Barnes. You
and
know?
you sticking around for it.
Yes, indeed.
All right.
Yes. And you'll get
Yes,
the necessary tools so that you could push forward. I love it.
Yes, ma'am.
What was you going to say, sir? You ready?
Well, they said it's pride come for a fall, so
You know,
that pride.
put
Well,
it
I
to the
tell you,
side.
wow, this has really, 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 really been good. And we hope the listeners, whether you're a teenager or whether you're an adult, that you have just heard the wisdom that has just come through this young man's mouth and from his heart. And again, thank you so much, Jonathan,
Yes,
for your
ma'am.
transparency.
Thank
Thank you so much,
Thank
because
you all.
that is what we're here to do, is to help build and not tear down.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I would like to give out our mental health hotline, because you never know who's listening. We have a 988 hotline, not at Young People Nation, but the community. There's a 988 hotline. That's text home to 741-741. That's free 24/7 crisis counseling. And if you're not sure what to do, there is a 211 number for general community resources. And that hotline is for mental health guidance and crisis or suicide. And that line is open 24/7. Mr. Perry.
Well, you know, in life, your mind can become clouded. And in this moment, when that trauma is so great and so deep, God says, move, move, move. Move on from the viewing of the escalation of that problem so that you can move on in life.
Y'all know what time
And you
it
know
is.
that it all comes to the life that you want to live,
It's Young People
or you
Nation.
just existing
Young People
in life
Nation.
that you don't want to be. This been Young People Nation. Remember, there is always hope.
Let's go. Christ is the foundation. Know his word gon' lead us. Know I'm already going. Taking steps steps I believe in. Giving guidance to the youth, giving guidance to the lost. Give the world to the project, lead them back to the cross. He the #1 prospect, he the top boss. I was broke, I was empty, he the one that paid the cost. Really thought that I was cool, there was nothing like the savior. Now it's time for the truth, the whole world been waiting. It's Young People Nation, 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 it's Young People Nation. The whole world been waiting. Whatever you going through, I know what he gonna do. Don't matter the circumstance, we going back to the root. Keep going, let that seed keep growing. You need peace and we know it. Now it's time to live holy. Young People Nation, you know what time it is. Young People Nation, get ready, the time is here. Get ready, we vibing here. We about to let God in here. Young People Nation, it's Young People Nation. Yeah, do it for the heavens, you know where we going. Influenced by his love, you know we gotta show it. It's time to put the youth on to what God is doing. Cause I can tell you now, right now, that God is moving. It's Young People Nation.